Last minute shakeup at 5:30 a.m., laundry situation not good. And when your focus is on helping your clients, it's easy to forget about yourself. But NASM knows trainers.
Morning, Ryan. It's okay.
And staying in front of the day isn't always as simple as 1, 2, 3. So when the unexpected has you pressing pause,
what's the latest on creatine?
I'm going to get back to you on that.
Let NASM1 help you press play. Visit NASM.org to sign up for a membership today.
You're listening to the NASM-CPT Podcast with Richey, winner of the Share Care Emmy Award for Social Storytelling and the official podcast of the National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Hey, y'all, and welcome to the NASM-CPT Podcast. My name is Richey, and today we're talking about finding your niche. Whichever way you say it, you still got to find it. And this is such an important question. Somebody asked it, said, I love your podcast. I don't know if you've talked about this, but can you talk about finding your niche? And I cannot for the life of me find that message that was sent to me. So if you sent that message, thank you so much for asking the question. And I'm sorry I can't give you credit for asking it. I'm trying to find it. But anyway, I want to say this. I think finding your niche is very important because when you're looking to identify who am I as a personal trainer, I think first and foremost, you really do need to be a generalist. When people come in and they're looking to get stronger and fitter and faster and maybe lose weight, these are kind of things that just as personal training, you should be somewhat familiar with. You should be familiar with exercise. You should be familiar in movement. You should be familiar with outcomes. And that's what I like about the NASM-OPT model is that it tells you what the outcomes are for each segment that you're in. So stability, strength, and power. Well, what are you going to get out of them? Stability, you're going to get strength and power. And then you have the phases, stabilization, endurance. Well, what are you going to get out of it? Both stabilization and you're going to work on endurance. The next level, strength, endurance. You're going to get those two things if you do this type of workout, strength and endurance. Muscular development is the next one. What are you going to get out of it? Well, muscular development is the primary goal and the focus of that particular thing. So you're going to do that level. Then you're going to go into max strength training. Max strength training, your 1 to 5 rep max to get stronger in your max lifts. And then finally, your power. So you are going to get power out of training in the power phase. It's so nice. It makes it so simple that all I have to do is know what phase I'm in to know what you're going to get out of this phase. And that's where that periodization comes from. We might do some stabilization stuff. We might do some strength stuff. We might do some power stuff. We might undulate it. We might go through this in a linear fashion. It all depends. But these are the basics of what you should know. And then you're going to start looking at some other things in life. So for instance, many moons ago, I did something. NASM doesn't have this anymore. Well, they kind of do. It's called it's kind of the precursor to the corrective exercise specialist. It was called the integrated flexibility specialist. And that was basically saying, well, you're short, tight, overactive muscles, and we're going to foam roll them, and we're going to stretch them, and we're going to do goniometry. And there were some things that were far deeper than what we do in the CES, and then you would be tested on that in person. But there were also other things that it didn't address as much, like strengthening the weak and underactive muscles. And how do you go about doing that? But now we're left with the corrective exercise specialist, which I went back and I got. And when I became a corrective exercise specialist, this was kind of when it first came out. Nobody was really doing it. So when people would come into the gym and they would talk to the salesperson and say, hey, what are you doing? What would you like to get? Are there any things that would keep you from lifting? And they're like, yeah, I haven't lifted in a long time because I hurt my shoulder. I haven't lifted in a long time because of my back. And then go through these things. And the salespeople already knew that this was my focus. And they'd be like, oh, you got to work with Rick. You got to work with Rick. He's the guy that does all that stuff. He'd be perfect for you. Well, that was awesome for me. It was awesome for my bottom line. I was working all the time. In fact, I was working so much with busted people. I was like, I want to work with somebody who can do box jumps. You know what I mean? Like, give me some Give me something with meat on the bone. But for me, it was corrective exercise, and that really became a focus of mine. Primarily, I enjoyed it, but I was kind of pushed into it because of the work I was getting out of it. And so I was refining my skills. And a lot of times people reach out to me and you're very confused about programming. You're very confused about, I understand I passed the test, but I don't feel most comfortable doing things like putting together workouts and putting together programs. And I wasn't either. I wasn't either. Neither when I was initially going through the CPT and then getting into the CES, but I got better. I got better because I practiced it and because I was getting more work from people who could benefit from corrective exercise. Then I got better at it because I needed to. But that made me so much more efficient when it came to working. I made a lot more money. I got a lot of clients. And anytime somebody had somebody that was a little ache, a pain, a hitch in their giddy up, and they're like, maybe you should do a session or two with Rick. And that made it valuable to me that I would work with people. I had another person named Lynn. She trained with my buddy Josh, and I love Josh. Josh is an amazing trainer and an incredible athlete. But Josh had to go away. He was on tour with a musician, and I worked with Lynn, super fit. I loved working with her because everybody thought that I did it. If they didn't know better or they didn't see her training with Josh or didn't see her even before, like she's crazy at working out. She was super fit, super lean, very muscular. And she used to love running and she hadn't run in a long time. And I was like, well, would you like to run? And she was, oh, I'd love to run, but I've kind of written those days off. And I was like, well, let me see you move. And I do my assessment and I see her squat and I'm like, "Er." And I was like, okay, let's try modifications. And now let's try single leg squat. Er. Okay, that's not great either. So single leg squat's not great. The squat's not great. The overhead position's fine. Elevated heels, it looks better, but like just you have some real movement imbalances that probably leading to that. So I grab a 3-foot foam roller and I drop it down. You drop it down, it makes a big sound, bang, and it hits the floor. And she looks at it and she goes, what is that? Especially back in like 04, 05, when nobody was foam rolling except NASM people, the crazy people that had the only reason there were gyms that had foam rollers were because the NASM trainers kept nagging the business to get foam rollers. So here I am with a foam roller. And she goes, what is that? And I said, it's a foam roller. That's going to get you moving a little bit better. And she looked at me with such disdain. And she goes, I see people rolling around on these things. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why don't you get up and work out? And I was like, okay. First of all, that was intense, a little bit hot. Okay. Secondly, people are trying to get better, Lynn. People are trying to get better, and you're going to get better too. I hope. I think it's going to make you feel a little better, and your squat's going to look better, and your knees will feel better, and maybe you can get back to running. Well, I kept training her because Josh was on tour, and within a first session, her squat still didn't look great, but she felt a lot better. And then within a few sessions, she was feeling great in the knees. By the time the second or third week came along, she signed up for a marathon. And I said, what are you doing? She was like, you fixed me. You fixed my knees. Now I'm going to run a marathon. I've been dying to do this. Now I can finally do it. I was like, that's a little too fast. I would not suggest this, but she was hell bent on it. So you do you, Skinny Lynn. And she ran a marathon because her knees were feeling better. Why? Because we did some things that helped her. Now, it doesn't always help, but it just so happened that what I provided for her did help her. And now she's talking to other people and I'm getting even more business. Y'all, that's why you have niches. Otherwise, all you do is the same thing that everybody else does. And it was huge for my business. It allowed me to train so many more people. So the corrective exercise specialist was really my first big windfall of training business. I was kind of busy like every other busy trainer is kind of busy, but that moved me stratospherically into, if you got people who need you for this, you are the person for it. And it was awesome. Now, what about something else that's not that? I think there are a lot of things that you can look at because, it's weird. I feel like this is going to end up sounding like a big, 20-minute commercial for NASM, because NASM provides a lot of specializations. And the corrective exercise specialist was one of them. There are several personal training certifications that are really huge, that make a lot of sense for people. Now, I did a lot of martial arts growing up. So when we started, a few years after I was working for NASM, they developed the MMA conditioning specialist. Now, it doesn't teach you how to engage in MMA. You are not going to be a mixed martial artist from doing it, but you will learn about training people the way mixed martial artists are trained. And this guy that helped develop the program was the strength and conditioning coach for Brock Lesnar, for Sean Shirk, a lot of guys, but those are the two that primarily stood out. And those guys are known for their gas tanks. They're known for their abilities when it came, especially Sean Shirk, who was an absolute beast when it came. I mean, sorry, Brock, you were too, but when it came to gas tank, Sean was remarkable. That was one that really appealed to me. The performance enhancement specialist is like the NASM version of the CSCS, the Certified Strength and Conditioning Coach. PES, the performance enhancement specialist. How are you as a trainer working with athletes, or as a strength and conditioning coach? How do you work with athletes and follow a systematic, progressive means to get people places and work with an individual, not just work with, this is what we do for a group or a team. We work with people. And so, and don't get me wrong, CSCS is great. I still have my CSCS, but I am certified as a performance enhancement specialist as well. There's our newest one for many people that I know in this industry that are very focused on physique and bodybuilding. And if you're focused on either doing it or coaching it, then to be a physique and bodybuilding coach is one thing. A lot of times you have to go through it and you have to experience it. But just because you do that doesn't mean that you understand science. And sometimes it's like, I did this and I did well, so you do this and you'll do well. And that's not how people work. But how does the science work? And that's when we say, okay, well, now let's pull in the scientific data. What is the research on gaining muscle? What is the research on getting lean? What is the research on posing? What is the research on all of these things? Because the NASM is based and steeped in research, and we want to find out what the facts are when it comes to how we study physique, how we study bodybuilding, and what is true and what is just bro science. That might be a great niche for you, because you'll be able to say, hey, if you want to do this, then I am your person. If you want to do that, then I am your person. And people could come in and just say, I'm looking to work out and get stronger and get fitter and maybe lose a few, excuse me, a little hiccup there, lose a few lbs. Then pretty much any trainer on the floor that should be able to, they should be able to do it. Now, something NASM doesn't have, which is a friend of mine, Daryl, started doing, and he's a business partner in one of my gyms. And he is 6'2", African-American, former NFL player, played at Fordham, and his niche is Pilates. That's right. That is not your typical look for a Pilates instructor. Former college and NFL player, turned personal trainer, turned Pilates instructor, still doing personal training. Well, how do I know? Like, that worked well for him, because he is a different person that's doing it. So now more guys are getting involved in doing Pilates and feeling comfortable working with him. If jacked Daryl over here is doing it, and then maybe you can do it too. Well, and the niche goes far beyond that. And people are drawn to that and they're drawn to him. He's a good person, but it's that niche that brings him in and makes people go, oh, I get it. So if you're doing yoga, if you're doing cycling, you're doing group fitness classes, you're doing high intensity classes, you could turn that into your niche. Nietzsche. That is not the right name. I know that for sure. We have so many other things that you can look at. We've got the behavior change specialist. We have the certified wellness coach, which goes far beyond personal training and really about deeper even than the behavior change. It is a significant course about helping you understand overall wellness, how the body functions, how your brain is associated with movement, roadblocks, making change in life, not just are you doing the work at the gym. And it is an amazing course. And that's a different group of people than people that walk into the gym and say, hey, I'm looking for somebody to help me do this in the gym. This is far beyond the gym. Can be within the gym and far beyond the gym. And then what about nutrition? We've got certified sports nutrition coach. We have the certified nutrition coach. That certified nutrition coach is an amazing course that is kind of our answer to what so many people have been going into, which they're saying, hey, let's talk about nutrition. So NASM, hey, let's get the top nutrition people in and let's do nutrition. You've got the opportunity. You can add nutrition to it. You can do your, certified personal trainer, certified nutrition coach, performance enhancement specialist, corrective exercise specialist, MMA conditioning specialist, senior fitness specialist, women's fitness specialist, physique and bodybuilding. And the list goes on and on and on. But before we go any farther, golf fitness specialist. Totally forgot about that. But before we go any farther, let's do a little live read for NASM 1. All right, here we go. This episode of the NASM-CPT Podcast is brought to you by NASM 1, the membership for trainers and coaches. Members enjoy unlimited access to hundreds of career resources. Get the Edge app to schedule and program clients. Enjoy half off all certifications and specializations. Access free CEUs and more. All of this for just $35 a month. Go to nasm.org/membership to learn more about NASM 1. Listen, there's a golf fitness specialist. Now, I know that there are other things out there that talk about training and golf and movement and golf, but this is the one that NASM put together, and it's, again, systematic, progressive way to look at it. There's a group fitness, small group training or a group training course. There is a flexibility course. There's so many courses out there. And the reason over and over again that I think about this is that if you know how to do something and you specialize in something that's a little different than what other people are doing, then it is so much easier for you to market it. It's hard to stand out in a crowd, but if you're one of the few that provides the NASM flexibility specialist, then that's different for you. And so when it comes to you and how you stretch and working with people and engaging in flexibility, it's unique, it's interesting, it's fun. The clients get a lot out of it. It's fulfilling for us. As a wellness coach, as a physique and bodybuilding coach, as a expert, or as you are working in the process of building expertise, you're putting things together for your arsenal. But it's not just that I can work with those people, it is that you can market to those people. This is something over and over again. I have a business partner at the gym, and amazing guy, love him as a person and a business partner, and I'm glad he's in my life. But let's be honest, sometimes he's like, hey, so-and-so does Pilates, and she said if we get a reformer, she'll bring all of her Pilates people over. And I'm like, okay, that's not what we do. And so if we did that, we would market to them. But then when trainers show up and they're being asked to be quiet because there's a Pilates reformer session going on, or there's a giant reformer instead of a squat rack, when it could have been a squat rack, and that's only being used when she has clients, but it would be used with every person that comes in who's a personal trainer. we're muddying the water of our identity. And I don't want to muddy the water of our identity. We identify who we are, and then we can market who we are. Then we can be very specific at who we are trying to find and if you're trying to find somebody that has my skill set, then it's easier because you'll look it up and I'm marketing to you and you'll be able to find me, maybe a few other people. And if I'm closer to you and I'm more convenient and I fall within your price range, all of that stuff matters. But the more that you can provide and give people, the better off you'll be. I also wrote a course, as many of you know, I have diabetes. And so I wrote for MedFit Network, I did the type 2 diabetes fitness specialist course. It's a long course, it's like 20 hours of coursework that I put together because that was important to me. And I spent a lot longer than 20 hours working on putting it together and researching and identifying. And people take advantage of the type 2 diabetes fitness specialist. And I was very specific because she said, Lisa, who runs it, she goes, why don't we just make it the diabetes fitness specialist? And I went, because there's a huge difference between type 1 and type 2. And we've got about 33 million people in the United States with type 2 diabetes. And then we have only a few million with type 1. And type 2 is more associated with your fitness, more associated with your activity level, more associated with factors that we can control. And we as personal trainers can't have assistance in controlling. That's who I want to talk to. I want to talk to you as a preventative measure. I want to talk to you as somebody who has diabetes that you know that you're comfortable working with me because I know this information. And now other people can do coursework and work with people who have that. So there are medical fitness specialists that are out there and things like that too, which you can all be a part of because you know that if you've had somebody who has had cancer, has been hurt by cancer, or has been killed by cancer, and you can identify something within fitness that can help because you're in the fitness industry and you can help other people going through it, then you'll find some type of medical information, a certification, a specialization that says, how can I use what I do to help people going through that? And then you can market it to them. And you have a story because you have a loved one. And you share that information and people feel more comfortable coming to you. And that's what I want for you. I want you to work with people that you feel comfortable with and that can feel comfortable with you. I want you to be able to change people's lives and then go change people's lives. Why develop a niche? You can market more easily to them. You can identify who it is that you want to work with, and you will be much more successful than going, I do what everybody else does, and I also do a little bit of that, and I do a little bit of that. No, tell me who you are. Because if you just kind of, yes, be a generalist at first and then find a niche. Once you find a niche, watch your business shoot through the roof because you have a better idea of who you are as a trainer. All right, I hope this helps. Like, subscribe, share with your fitness friends and family. And if you don't mind, leave a review about the podcast. It's really helpful for me. And if you haven't done so and you've heard me say it dozens and dozens of times and you still haven't done it, just take a moment, pull over in your car right now. And no, I'm just kidding. But you get a chance, please do that. Also, if you want to reach out to me like some of these guys have, then hit me up. You can do so on Instagram at dr.rickrichy or email me, rick.richey@nasm.org. Y'all keep inspiring people to fitness. Thanks for listening. This has been the NASM-CPT Podcast.